I'm on the road to recovery in Castle Rock, Colorado. Live from Millville, New Jersey, I'm on the road to recovery. We're on the road to recovery in Morgantown, West Virginia at Mountaineer Field. And live in Scranton, Pennsylvania, I'm on the road to recovery. Here I am on the road to recovery from Berlin, Maryland. Hey, from Caseville, Michigan, I'm on the road to recovery. I'm on the road to recovery at Ann Arbor, University of Michigan.
Glory Music.
Hey, we're on the road to recovery in beautiful New Jersey, and I'm about to introduce you to one of the biggest advocates in this area of the country, and he founded an organization called Mainstream Recovery, Joel Pomales. A lot of people get inspired by this young man, and I'm so glad to have known him all these years. Finally, I'm able to sit down and share his story with you. On the road to recovery in New Jersey with Joel Pomales.
Hey guys, Joel Pomales, founder and CEO of Mainstream Recovery, a training and consulting firm focused on recovery support services. So for me, where did it all start? I mean, I guess, I always kind of like to go back a little bit, even before, I started using different substances, and I hate to kind of like pigeonhole things, I have a lot of people that came from different backgrounds and good upbringings and bad areas and affluent areas and all that stuff. But, I definitely had some family issues, I always say I came from like your typical, broken home background where my parents divorced young, and, I grew up without the father figure in my life and struggled with a lot of those issues, so I started acting out real young. Started stealing when I was young and smoking cigarettes when I was 8, and I was definitely, one of the bad kids, and, hung out with kids that were just like me. I dealt with a lot of negative feelings before I started using different substances, and I think that, the substances masked a lot of feelings for me. And then the first time, I smoked weed with some family members, I was 13, I smoked my first joint, and I don't know if it was like that day or right away, but within a short amount of time, I just fell in love with it. I loved the feeling of being high way more than I liked the feeling I had normally. So I moved from Ocean County to Middlesex County to East Brunswick when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and lived in East Brunswick for 20 years after that. So I grew up in East Brunswick in an upper middle class area and had a semi-decent family. I didn't need for anything, like I said, I was 13 the first time I used, and within a couple years my life went down pretty quick. Progression took over in my life pretty quick. Within the first year, I was using every day, smoking weed, and by the time I was 15, I got arrested a couple times. Wound up going to my first treatment facility when I was 16, and then, went through a whole bunch of different stuff and wound up, dropping out of school, which is one of the biggest things that I regret. And, kind of watching my life fall apart around me, all this terrible stuff happening, and, the arrests and treatments and the relationships with my family, not getting along with my mother, my stepfather, and then having my younger brother start to do drugs behind me, following in my footsteps to the T, and just a lot of terrible stuff came from that. So for me, I mean, recovery is definitely a gift. I'm very grateful to be in recovery. I believe that, being in recovery is something that is, it has to be maintained. It's something I have to address. It's not as difficult as dealing with some other illnesses that maybe, I don't have to take any medication or anything like that, and I don't have to go for treatments. And, I have some friends that deal with illnesses that they need medication and they have to go to the hospital every so often to get treatments and stuff like that. My recovery, me treating my illness doesn't entail that, but it definitely entails me staying connected and making sure that I'm not engaging in behaviors that are going to lead me down a bad road. Yeah, I mean, if I were to do it all over again, I definitely would have made some different choices. It's tough to say. I definitely would have been educated. I would have listened to the people that were that were in my life that cared about me that I didn't really want to listen to. You know, I didn't want to listen to what they had to say, whether I didn't believe them or I was resentful or whatever it was. You know, there was people in my life, my parents, teachers, police officers, all sorts of people in my life that cared about me, and they tried to help me and give me, you know, right decisions to make and push me in the right direction. But I definitely, you know, never listened, and I regret that. And I laugh now in conversations with people that I had in my life back then, always saying, you know, I wish I listened. I should have listened, and I wouldn't have had to go through all this stuff, you know. Started this organization earlier in 2017 due to the lack of recovery support services in the state and across the country, really. I'm very passionate. I'm a person in long-term recovery myself. I had access to recovery support services, and I've been able to be successful in my recovery. The need for recovery support services to be developed and implemented in our communities, in our counties across the state is in dire need. Everything from collegiate recovery programs at all of our institutions of higher education that have housing on their campuses. We need recovery high schools in every county in the state for young adults, for adolescents that go to treatment so they don't have to go back to the same high school. We need recovery community centers, at least one in every county. We only have 2 or 3 recovery community centers in the whole state of New Jersey. I know in my county we have 30-something senior citizen centers, no recovery centers. We need a centralized location for individuals who are seeking recovery or who are in recovery, in the early stages of recovery, to be able to go to. You know, we have overdose response programs and law enforcement assisted recovery programs that are looking to help people to get into treatment, to enter into recovery. So, you know, we help with all that stuff. Any type of recovery support program, recovery center, hospital-based program, law enforcement program, you know, we help out with. We have a whole bunch of people on our team that are really versed in this type of work.
Hey Joel, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I'm so grateful I get to share you and your story with other people. Mainstream Recovery and the advocacy he does at NCAD, what an incredible champion of recovery. He's really selflessly helping other people and really sharing his inspiration and hope with you. Please share these stories of recovery with people seeking recovery, people early in recovery, or those that have found that long-term recovery. On the Road to Recovery in New Jersey with Joel Pomales. We'll see you on the next episode of On the Road to Recovery.